All right, welcome to lesson number 10. We're going to talk about guides and signs, okay? Whenever somebody enters a new home, it's unfamiliar to them, obviously, right? You know, if you stay at, like, let's say Marriott homes, or Marriott hotels and stuff like that, you know, if you stay at a courtyard or a town place and suites, or Fairfield Inn or something like that, they all kind of look the same, right? And so there's that familiarity that goes with it. Hey, I get there, I know what I'm doing, I'm familiar with this place. Okay, obviously each home is unique, and so having signs and guides at the home is very important, because people kind of get lost. They don't know how to use your stuff. They don't know where your stuff is. It's not a familiar home to them. And so having the right kind of signage, having the right guides in place is very important. So let's talk about first electronic guides. A lot of times on Airbnb and VRBO, they will have a section where you can do a house manual, and you can put everything in there, right? So you can have all the different things on the house that are important, right? Obviously, a big one is the check-in procedure and the check-out procedure. Those are your two most important things, because checking in, they need to know what to do, what time they can get there, where the address of the home is, that kind of stuff. Checking out, hey, what kind of cleaning things do you require of them? Obviously, you have a cleaner, but do you still want them to strip the sheets? Do you just want them to start a dishwasher load? Kind of pick up after themselves a little bit, right? So having a checkout procedure is really important too, okay? So those two are the most important. You can have those electronically. I've also found it's very important to have those on site too, okay? So what I do is I write them up, use Word or Adobe products or whatever, create this nice flyer, and laminate it, so it's obviously not going to break after a couple uses, and do that two-sided Velcro, put it on the wall, and you now have a check-in manual or a check-out manual that's right there, visible. Everybody can see it. I typically place them at the entrances, the exits of the home, those areas, right, the doors, so that people can see them. Again, also electronically too, right? But the benefit of having them in multiple places is, hey, people see it, because when you're on vacation, you're not really thinking about some of these things. You're there to go to the park. You're there to go to to see whatever, right? And so having those signs in place remind them, hey, by the way, when you leave, here's what we expect. Okay. The other guides and signs that you'll want to have, typically most cities are going to say, hey, this is kind of a hybrid commercial property. They're going to want to have some kind of fire extinguisher at the house. Okay, so you're typically going to have a sign that says, hey, this is a fire extinguisher. Here it is. It's in the pantry, or hey, it's over there by the garage. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have that sign that says that. I had one place that also required that we had an emergency evacuation plan. So like if you are here, here's how you get out, right? How you've seen that and stuff like that before. I thought it was funny, because it's like, well, I mean, you can see the doors, I don't know, but it's not like this huge place, right? But it was big enough that I guess, hey, we want to make sure that, that you're able to exit the home, okay? So the other signs that you're going to want to have is, surprisingly, one of my biggest questions / hey, we can't work the TV, and I get it, because actually TVs are different. Everybody's TV is a little bit different. I like Apple products, and so my TVs are typically run off an Apple TV box. I have, I give them access to different movies and different TV shows, all the things on demand. They can sign in with their own Netflix account, Disney Plus account, stuff like that, right? I don't typically pay for cable. I used to for a while. Still had a lot of problems with people understanding how to use that. And I found nowadays people just kind of do their own accounts anyhow. Even for sports, you can log into different places, and so that's what I've done. Obviously, sports is your big one, but even like the Super Bowl, they can get online and stuff. So having a guide for that TV though is very important. Okay. Excuse me. I've been able to spell out. Okay, here's I take images and kind of write things down. Here's how you turn on the TV. Here's how you access this, right? Very detailed things, because you have to understand you have various ages of people, right? Obviously you think, oh, hey, a young person, they should understand. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, right? And a lot of times you have older people too. You just want to make sure that the people understand. So having step-by-step instructions is very important to be able to make sure that house is running as it should, okay? If you have a fireplace, hey, step-by-step instructions on how to use the fireplace. If you have, in some cases, one of my houses that has the bigger yard, the bigger lot, some of the neighbors, they use it as a second home, so they don't rent it out and stuff like that. And so I have kind of an aerial view of the house, so they can see, hey, here's the lot, right? Here's how big the lot is. So you're able to go down here, over here, stuff like that, but don't go over here, right? That's the neighbor's yard. Don't go over there, because there's obviously no fence or anything like that. It's just trees, and now all of a sudden you're on the neighbor's spot, and the neighbors don't want you there, okay? So having that explained to people, a chart of that is really important, I also have emergency numbers. That's also very important, right? Because you want to make sure they know, hey, who to contact if something happens. One thing that you probably don't think about is in some of these places that really actually everywhere too, but in one of my places that's more rural, occasionally the power goes out. And at first people would call me and be like, hey, how do I get the power back on? And I looked at my utility bill, and there is an after hours number. And then if you call that number, you find out that you also need the account number. And so obviously to avoid getting this call every now and then, I just put that on the emergency contact information, so they know, hey, if power goes out, call this number, here's our account number, you're able to get it back on. Then they don't even have to call me again. The more things you can automate, that's again why I love guides and signs. The more things you can automate, the less time you're going to be talking to people, which I love people, okay, don't get me wrong, but to avoid headache, to have things just running smoothly, the more things you can automate, the better, right? People tend to want to do things themselves. They don't want to have to call the owner. And so if it says right here, oh, okay, in this situation, do this, right? If the hot tub's not working, here's the hot tub guy, right? So that way everything can be running smoothly. That's the goal of guides and signs, is that people on vacation don't have to worry about you, okay? They don't have to talk to you. They can just be there as a family, have this great experience, and everything will work right. So, even the thermostats, I have a little guide on how to use the thermostats, right? I thought Nests are pretty intuitive, not to everyone, right? And so again, having a guide on, hey, here's what you do. Here's how the thermostat works, okay? Garbage day. We have garbage day, a couple times a week. So, make sure you bag your garbage. Here's a fire pit. Here's some, safety issues, things you should do with a fire pit and stuff. So again, the more things you can do, the better, okay? These are just some ideas of signs and stuff like that. Have signs everywhere. That's my recommendation. That concludes part 10.